Hey, how's everyone doing tonight? So, spoiler alert, I'm Hispanic, just in case you didn't know. So, sometimes people don't actually know that. I've actually worked at a job before where I worked at Bloomingdale's, so obviously, you know, hoity-toity people everywhere. So I'm talking to her, she's like, oh, you know, there's like a lot of ethnics here. I'm like, oh. And I'm just like tapping my name tag. My last name is Lopez. How much more obvious could it be? But no, she carried on for a good 5-minute conversation. It was really awkward. So I'm normally not bothered by stuff like that. I actually have like a really weird sense of identity with my Hispanicness, I guess. So I'm half Puerto Rican, half Nicaraguan, which is really awkward for people because they only really know about Puerto Rico. So when I'm like introducing people from I'm like, oh yeah, you know, my mom's from Nicaragua, they're like, you can't say that word. I'm like, no, that's a different word. No, you can say Nicaragua, you just can't say that word. And please don't say that word around me either because it's not correct. But as someone from like that, it's like I usually get tired of explaining that, but I've never really been kind of in touch with my culture. So this past year, my friends and I, we always do a yearly birthday trip because what better way to celebrate a birthday than going with your two best friends and then slowly hating yourself over the course of a week. To the point that we can't stand each other for the next like 2 weeks right after. So this year we've done trips like, well, we did trips like the Grand Canyon and we did LA. This time we're like, you know what, let's do something bigger. So we decided to go to Costa Rica. And I'm like, okay, sweet. So partly, my friend told me this later on, that it was just kind of helped me with my whole getting in touch with my roots part. I'm like, okay, that's good, because you know, ultimately, I know nothing about my culture. My dad's not a part of my life. Everything about Puerto Rico I find out on the news. And then from Nicaragua, it's like, we were part of the Iran-Contra affair. So, not entirely a good barometer for us. So, we're going to Costa Rica. We book a trip. My other friend had this one caveat. Had to be an all-inclusive resort because, honestly, I don't even know. It was really awkward. So we go there, you know, we fly from the fancy O'Hare International Airport. We have a direct flight. We land in Liberia. It's like we landed straight in the jungle. There's only like room for maybe one plane at a time. You land there, you go through customs. You go through these armed guards and these like military jumpsuits with like these German shepherds smelling everything on you. Kind of like who's gonna smuggle drugs into Latin America? Normally it's the other way around, but hey, when in Rome, I guess. So the resort we had a fancy little van. So by fancy van, it's just a regular van. We just tried to amp it up by like painting it all colorful, and it was a really like big, crazy like split between the colorful van and just how everything was like deplorable and like destitute. It's like it's the middle of an open field. You have the airport. You have a rundown road. You have like dilapidated cars over there. You have people who are like look like they're on their last legs of life, and you're like, why does Costa Rica have this romanticized appeal about it? Because it kind of looks exactly the opposite. Apparently that's the real Costa Rica. After our long trip on the van, we arrived to Jurassic Park. And I literally mean we arrived to Jurassic Park. We had this like massive gate, armed guards to prevent you from, you know, leaving the resort and not having fun. And then, you know, you have the guy who's like, welcome to Jurassic Park. I'm like, okay. So we go there, we arrive, and it turns out it was actually a couples resort. Which was really awkward because there's 3 guys. As you can tell, I'm not a small guy, neither are my friends. So we're like there, and you know, the most you can get is like a 2-bed. So okay, we're gonna like decide to like split up the beds routine, which we just kept swapping in and out. It was crazy. At one point, I was really tempted to just sleep on the floor between the wall and the bed because I'm like, I need my own space. I nicknamed him the Crevice. It was like my one true friend during that trip when you started to get annoyed by your other 2 best friends. So at the resort, it's actually kind of interesting because you go there and everyone's like welcoming you like pura vida, which is Costa Rican, well, it's Spanish, but Costa Rica uses it as like a pure life, their like go-to saying. So you're supposed to experience life to the fullest is what it's supposed to mean. It's kind of hard when like you kind of arrive and then you go through the horrors of like a third world country to this like secluded little resort. So that was always in the back of my mind, even though I befriended the staff really quickly because I spoke Spanish, and I was like the only person who probably spoke Spanish in like years. So they kind of adopted me for their own. And the best part about the resort is it's this secluded little island, and all we basically ate was American food. So we go there, and you know they have like a buffet. You can get your omelets, you can get your burgers, you can get your pizza, you can get tacos. Not like, you know, authentic tacos, but more like the Taco Bell kind. So afterwards, you know, that's what we would have our fill with, you know, and then we would occasionally do some sightseeing. One of our first excursion was actually, we're gonna go check out town, Liberia. It's really nice, you know, historical. The first stop they make is at the America Town. It's basically the corner of KFC, Quiznos, you got a Taco Bell, a Domino's, you got some Pizza Hut over there for some reason, Burger King, Wendy's. It's like you got the whole shebang. It's like fast food mecca. And that was like the first stop they took us to, because were people homesick? Or is that like the greatest pride of like Costa Rica? Like, hey, we're just as good as America. You can get overweight here too. Which is crazy too, because it's like, why was that a stop? Because I was excited to experience authentic food, but that was like the first stop, and then I'm pretty sure there were several people in the excursion with us who were like, I really wanted chalupa. But we got to experience rice and beans. That was really fun. Yeah, it's something like simple food like that always like enticed me, because it's what my mom ate. And it's just something simple, yet kind of has this feeling of home and nostalgia that I never really had. It's kind of weird how like food can kind of transcend genetics, I guess, and time and space. I mean, whatever, I'm not a scientist, I just play one because I'm an improviser. And when we would go back to the resort, one of our nights, aside from romantic candlelit dinners with the three of us, was experiencing hibachi in Costa Rica, which, you know, is not native to Costa Rica, nor is it here. Led by this one guy who I coined him the Texarican, because he kept insisting he was from Costa Rica, yet he had a Texan accent and did not understand Spanish at all. To the point that like he ruined everyone's dinner plans, or enhanced it rather. I initially thought ruined, but then everyone was like really dwelling into his historical background. Like you're asking him, are you sure you're from Costa Rica? You kind of look like you're from Texas. Your skin is really pale for like a really, you know, bright country. You don't speak a lick of Spanish. Like we have this like doctor guy who's like, okay, I don't care about the food. What is your deal? Like he's like interrupting his wife. He's like, shh, why? And he's like telling us, he's like, oh, you know, I may be 21 years old, but that doesn't mean I've lived all 21 years of my life in Texas. However, I have lived 21 years in Texas. And I'm like, okay, that proves you're Texan. They also killed off a few of my brain cells, but trying to comprehend that. So it's just, we were really enthralled by that one guy, who I still don't understand his deal. I initially thought, you know, he might have been like, you know, witness protection, but just really bad at it. But no one bothered because they're like, at least he's trying. And afterwards, my friends decided to surprise me because it was a birthday trip for me. So we went to Nicaragua, where my mom's from, which I hadn't been to since I was 2. So the best part about Nicaragua is you basically have to get smuggled in. Because they have some weird hatred of Costa Rica, and you can imagine me getting smuggled in a van. So we're going in there, and we have a tour guide there. He's like Nicaraguan, and he's like telling me, is anyone here Bulgarian? No. Oh. Well, I took Bulgarian in college, and I was always hoping to use it, but it's been like 25 years and I never did. And unfortunately for him, there was another tour group at the same time, and they actually did have a couple from Bulgaria. So I kind of feel like I may have ruined his life. Because if I hadn't gone on that trip, he might have gotten that couple. Because he was really excited to speak Bulgarian to someone. However, he was also really excited to tell me about the war. And as you can tell, during the Iran-Contra, it's because there was a war in Nicaragua, and that's how I spent most of my birthday. He was like, he's like, oh, you're Nicaraguan, that's great. So he's like talking to me, he's like, yeah, that's where I buried my friend. Oh, yeah, that's where I got back problems because I used to carry hundreds of pounds of ammo on my back. Oh, it's my birthday, can you like not tell me about that? He's like, yeah, I'm just telling you about the history. I'm like, oh, this is a history I kind of knew about, but I didn't want to hear again on my birthday. I just kind of wanted to get drunk and have fun. So yeah, that was my fun little birthday. We're going through there, we check out some really cool stuff. There's like an active volcano. I got to take several photos of my friend sleeping. My friend got really sunburned, so I kept slapping him on the burn spot. So, childish stuff that I'm like, I'm gonna make up for the whole depressive start of my day. And on our way home, the resort gave me a fun little romantic cake because I think they thought that we were a couple. Yeah, it didn't work. Actually, a lot of the resort people thought we were a couple because we actually went to breakfast one time and they were like, what's your room so we can charge you to the room? And we're like, oh yeah, 207. And she's like, all three of you are in 207? Yeah, she's like, but there's only 2 beds in there. Yeah, we share a bed and then someone else has a bed to himself. She's like, ay, Dios mío. And I'm pretty sure she went off to the back, grab her rosary, pray for our souls, I guess. And at the end of my trip, I was actually back to the trip in Nicaragua. The highlight of my trip was actually, on our way back, we swapped back to our Costa Rican tour guide, and we spent the entire car ride singing Backstreet Boys songs. So it's, it was like a weird highlight of my night and my whole trip because I got to experience my identity in a weird way because my identity ultimately is American. All that stuff is me. I was born here, but I did get to experience some of my mom's culture. But it kind of made me realize my own place in the world, where it's just, that stuff like listening to the Backstreet Boys, just hanging out with my friends, just experiencing life in a way should make me feel glad for what I have because there's plenty of people who don't. So in a way, I kind of found my own home, which was back home all along, and I never knew about it until I left and came back. Thank you.